Dom will tell you himself, he almost said, here's a grain of sand. Give me a grain of sand. And he'll tell you that I went and built a beach. That's what I'm like. So I went down to the gym and I said to Kel says, I want to work with Greg. And Dom were like, yeah, all right. And my first job was in Monaco with Sullivan and Bai. And I worked with Sullivan and Bai, and he's like, oh my God, if I'd have known this years before. And I thought, he fought Al-Qadiev in Monaco. Yeah. And he got to 11th round, he got dropped 4 times, and he was like Terminator. And they had to stop it because they were like, and I felt sorry for him because I thought, I'm not saying I've made him that good, but because I'd made him, he were a powerhouse Al-Qadiev at the time, he was a big puncher. And like, if Sullivan had probably done his own thing, he'd have probably got stopped in 3 rounds. I kind of like got Billy Sully beat up. I felt sorry for him. And then obviously Kell Brooks said, I want to work with Greg. And my first fight with Kell were Sean Porter.
Oh, was that your first one?
First fight with Kell.
That's a big scout,
I want to work with Greg. So Don went, all right, fair enough. Do it. And never once did Dom say, I don't think you should do it like this. He just like trusted me.
Yeah.
And I did it, and like, that was a big breakthrough for me.
In my job, amazing. Sometimes I've called coaches out, I've called trainers out. Chris Eubanks calls them school teachers that have turned into boxing trainers. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. You get guys that have gone to college and gone to university, get a few letters after their names, then all of a sudden they say they're a coach. Yeah. All of a sudden they think because they can get your weight from A to B or get you looking at a certain condition, they understand our sport. With you, it didn't seem to just be a physical thing, especially with the fighters, because fighters are funny folk. Yeah. So I know you spend a lot of time with Tyson Fury, which is like playing with a box of frogs. So you're capable of navigating your way through that, him respecting and understanding you, and vice versa. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So your past experiences with the experience you picked up as a nutritionist, they actually marry in together. So it's not just about having letters after your name, is it?
Not at all. I mean, living with Kel, oh God, like living with Kel and having to do everything for him. I wake up in the morning, 6 o'clock, Kel, coffee, vitamins. Let me see you take them. Mm-hmm. I want to know that my job's done properly. Yeah, and that's because he can't do that. You know, listen, fighters love to get weight on hand and foot. Of course they do, anyone would. But I want to know everything's been ticked off. Mm-hmm. You know, for that Khan camp, I lived on his bedroom floor on a mattress. I went, forget a bed, just put me a mattress down. Lived on that for 7 months.
You in the same bedroom as him?
No, not same bedroom. No, in a different bedroom. We got about 6 rooms he got in this house. No, so everything were like took care of. So I know that I've left no stone unturned. Mm-hmm. You know, so it takes a lot more than just sending him a diet.
And was it the same with Tyson Fury?
Yeah,
because he was at his biggest when you started working with him.
Yeah, Billy Joe Sona's come to the Ingle gym because he's like, I want to know how Kel makes this weight from that to that. Like, what is that? What's going on?
And Kel looked like a proper don when he got down to the weight, proper Adonis.
Yeah, and we're still strong. So like, Billy came and says, what's going on here? So the first fight was Willow Monroe. It was kind of not a rush job, but we only had a limited amount of time. And then obviously we went on to do Canada, David Lemieux, which for me, boxing masterclass. Yeah. And then Tyson Fury, I remember we were in Canada just before that fight, and Tyson Fury come in, and he was about 29 stone, and he got this big fur coat on, and he went, Greg, I went, all right, Tyson, he went, can you do up with that? I says, yeah, scan, yeah. Do you want to start working? He went, yeah, after this fight. And I just thought it was tongue in cheek, you know. And he said, and he actually called me up. I said, let's start getting to work. So I remember I took about 9.5 stone, 10 stone off Tyson Fury.
What was the first things that you did do? Like, what was the first things? Obviously, he's 29 stone. Yeah. What is he fighting at now? 18?
18.5, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's there. Yeah.
10 stone to lose.
I said
what was the first things that you recommended or that you said, right, move this to this? And then we started.
Well, I think Billy said, you need to do a keto diet. I'm like, all right. So I'm going to start it, Greg. I'm like, well, don't just do a keto diet on your own. There's a lot to think about when you do keto diets. It's like, you have to have a certain macro ratio. You have to have a certain percentage of fat to protein. Right. Because if you have too much protein, you won't. It's a science, but if you have too much protein on a keto diet, your body will see it as energy for anaerobic exercise. So it'll hinder the loss of fat, through ketosis. So if you go on like a keto stick and you urinate on it, it'll show you in ketosis, but you won't be expelling the fat at the rate. It's sciencey, so it has to be done properly. You have to look at your weight, look what you're doing, look at your exercise. You don't want to be hitting red zones too much because then it'll burn protein.
So the average man in the street could do this, because straight away, I've trained all my life. Straight away, when you start talking in language that I don't understand, you've lost me. So, but if you say, I want you to do this, and this, point me in the right direction.
That's it.
And so I've got to commend, or you've got to commend Tyson for having the discipline.
Yeah.
To get from that to that.
Like he did it. I always said to myself, "Yeah, I'm just a cog." Like you've done that. You've done them runs, and because we were in Marriott at the time, and I had a lot of operations, and sometimes I couldn't be there. And he phoned me, "Can I have this? I'm in caffeine," and it was constantly on the phone, constantly. And when we went to Village Hotel for his comeback fight, I remember that were great. Just living with him, understanding Tyson. I'm thinking, this is hard work. And did his comeback fight out in Manchester Arena. I remember being in the changing room, and there were about 50 people, and God bless his soul, Ricky Hatton were there, and they all walked out, and Tyson said to me, Greg, walk out with me. You're asking me. He says, like, stand outside at ring. And he were almost like proud of what I've done for him. So like we all started walking out, and then it were like a stampede. And it was like trying to get to, and I just thought, this is not for me. Tyson, go and have your date, son. And I actually stayed in changing room and watched it on screen. I watched it in TV.
And what did he fight at then? What weight was he then? What he got down to?
Yeah, I think he might have been about 19 or 20 stone, something like that. Yeah. Something like that.
Well on his way then.
I've got to give you for your professionalism, because I know you were like tagged when I kept saying there's a mole in the camp. I've got to give it to you because you are very discreet with everybody, and no matter how close you are, how much you know somebody, that's not your bag. You're a straight talker. And even when we tried to trick you or con you and get stuff out of you, like you'd shut up, you'd clam up in a heartbeat. But you must have seen some strange things from a lot of pretenders pretending to be able to do your job when you're in camp with fighters. And so it must be very hard for you to either keep your mouth shut or negotiate that.
No, it is, because I've always been told from Brendan, because I spent a lot of time with Brendan, and he'd always say, just stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane. So for me as a nutritionist, stay in my lane. When I see things that are not right, because I got schooled in Ingle Gym through Brendan. Now, for me, it were a blessing. It really were, because I remember, I don't know if it's Brendan saying or Dominic's, but have you ever heard the saying, the blind leading the blind? That can be very damaging if someone really doesn't know what they're doing. It can be. And loyalty, if you've got that loyalty there, it's like, no, I'm doing it this way. It's hard. And from a nutritionist point of view, what I'd learned from Brendan and in that Ingle Gym, they'd produce so many champions, I only knew one way. So I'd seen like a roadmap to success. When you go into different camps, and I won't name any, I'm not saying Tyson's were like this, when you go into different camps, you see things that are just like, that's probably not the best way, not saying the right way, there's one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
It's hard from a nutritionist point of view to say, no, that's wrong, because I'm trying to stay in my lane, but then I'm also trying to be helpful for the team. But like, you're just a nutritionist, what do you know? It's what the trainer knows, what they know. And it really, really is hard at that point. But I think through these last camps with Tyson, when he said, because for Deontay Wilder, he phoned me up and went, Greg, we've got Wilder fight. We're going, babe, we're going to California. And not a week later, I get a phone call off Birmingham saying, you have to have a full operation again. You're out for 9 months.
So you can't go?
I couldn't go, I couldn't do it. That's why I went with George Lockhart.
Yeah.
I literally phoned Dave Stasham and said, do you want a job? He's like, yeah, I'll have a job. And then obviously Dave, I think, then give it to George. And that's why George was a nutritionist. Yeah. So for me, it weren't really a bit of pill to swallow, because I thought, it's fine, I've helped him on his journey to get him back. It don't matter to me like that. But then for Usyk, I remember I was having a coffee in Costa with Dom, and I'm sat there and I get a phone call, and I didn't know the number, it were a video FaceTime, and Tyson's just in this big sweatsuit, he's going, oh, we're back, I want best for Usyk. I'm like, are you in? I'm like, all right, I'm in, kind of thing. And then it took from there. But this last camp with Tyson, we grew really, really close, like really close. Like every single day I live with him. I will in Morecambe in camp, and I'd shout him. So Tyson, listen, what you see on Netflix and when people say, oh, he's putting it on, that's Tyson Fury. That is Tyson Fury. He will not put something on for that camera. Yeah. That's just Tyson. So like when I'd shout in the morning, I'm going, Tyson! And to be fair, honest to God, I was on so much medication for them 2 fights. Honestly, I was on everything, like for my leg. I needed it doing again. And I thought, let's just get through the next one, let's go through the next one. And Tyson knew I was in pain, so I carried on doing it. So every time I'd shout in the morning, I'm thinking, oh my God, it's 5 o'clock. I'd shout him, I'd say, Tyson, and I'd shout him on purpose like that. And whatever his response was,
will tell you how he's going to be that day.
100%. So I had to think, I can't do that today. I can't manipulate that today. I can't put that in because they're just going to say, no, I'm not interested in that, not doing that. Yeah. So every day was just like brand new to me. But I love that. I love it.
Groundhog Day, isn't it?
No, but it's though. So he come downstairs, I'm like, no, I can't say that to him today.
Yeah,
can't ask him that.
Judging his mood.
He'll just say, not interested.
And then some days he would be interested.
Oh yeah, but I'd have to let him take the lead. Do you know what I mean? Not because of his ego. It's just how he is as a person.
But you negotiated your way around it. But how would others manage it, or would they not know how to manage it? I'm quite sure his wife would know how to manage him. I'm quite sure his brother, his dad.
Well, they can just say not interested and walk away. I've got a job to do. I can't walk away. So I'm having to navigate myself around. A lot of other people say, listen, this is how it is. If you don't like it, off, go and do it. But it doesn't work like that in boxing.
Yeah.
You have to. They're the champions. They're the champions. All people care about is the champion in that ring. They don't care about the trainer. I don't mean they don't care about it, but they're not interested. They're not interested in strength and conditioners. They're not interested in nutritionists. I get that.
Unless things go wrong.
Well, there you go. They're not interested. Like, oh, it's Tyson Fury. That's fine. I've done my job. I've got in there.
Yeah.
So everyone's works behind the scenes. The hard yards, getting him in the morning, navigating Tyson, going here, doing this. Let's go out for a coffee break. Yeah, no problem. It's like your life's not your own. But you're there to do a job, and it's to get them to where they need to be. Yeah, until something goes wrong.
I think, from the outside looking in, I think he respects you.
We have a good, very good. Yeah.
I think he respects you in his dysfunctional kind of way. I think he respects you, but he's not a silly guy.
Oh no,
because he'll play the fool to catch the wise.
Yes,
and he'll come out with something outlandish, and people will try and mirror that, and he's actually just testing him to say, all right, then that's what sort of person you are. So it's understanding reading the character that's in front of you.
And the good thing, Tyson doesn't have to make a weight, so there's no rehydration.
Yeah,
there's no weight cut. So like, at least that's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
that.
So 2005, there was a scandal of Chris Eubank Jr. And how he had to dehydrate and then rehydrate the clothes that he was in both fights with Conor Benn. The videos you saw in preparation for even the weight in itself before the fight.
I know. Yeah. 2025.
2025. Sorry, 2025.
It's only 20 years difference.
Yeah.
You fight 4 times.
Yeah. So we punched ahead too much. So and you saw what looked really bad. Even as an ex-sportsman, I'm like thinking, Chris put a video on him sweating out and getting, and I thought, you've got a hard fight again. Yeah. Then he did it again 6-7 months later. When you saw that, could you see the dangers? Could you understand where his dad was coming from in regards to his concern? Could you understand how slack the authorities were being letting this happen? Or could you understand his he could see it wasn't a problem actually doing this? Could you understand the whole scenario?
Could. And for me, it's hard because when you have to make these different check weights, there's nothing in place to save the fighter. Now, what a fighter will do, he'll absolutely they'll just cut water to make that check weight. Cut water to make that check weight. That, for me, I think it's supposed to be in there to save fighters from themselves. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's far more detrimental because what they're doing to get to that point is really, really, really dangerous. So when I saw Chris, I actually reached out on Instagram and put, listen, if you need any help, I'm here. That's all I put. Mm-hmm. Never got anything back. Didn't expect, but I thought I feel like it's a duty to do. Mm-hmm. I just want to understand how he was making weight because it's hard, and boxers will do anything to make that weight. If boxers to me, Greg, I've got 10 days to make this weight. I'm like, I don't want to touch it. I'm like, well, I can't be on the end of that. Mm. But then I think to myself,
they can do it, but
if I don't,
very dangerously.
If I don't, are they going to do it bad and something bad's going to happen?
Yeah, because it can turn dangerous.
I'm like, you know, but I don't want to do it, but I feel like I have to. So when I see
to make sure that they do it in the safest way possible, rather than a dangerous way of like.
No, yeah, because when people dehydrate, like they're gonna lose all the salts. So they might load up on loads of water. So a lot of people load up on water, but the danger of loading up on like stupid amounts of water, you can get something called hyponatremia. So that dilutes all your sodium levels. You can be confused, and you can pull it back. It's fine. But then when you fully dehydrate to the levels that like he probably did, then you've got to be managed careful. So when you rehydrate, and it is a bit sciencey, but I'll break it down for you.
Come on.
So what happens is,
you're an ass full of dummies here. So talk.
No. So what happens is when you rehydrate, if you are completely dehydrated, we all know that you should be drinking first, and there's going to be a lot of electrolytes in there, and sodium and different things, and potassium that you need to put back in your body. But if you eat straight away after being dehydrated, this is biology for anybody on planet Earth. When you dehydrate, if you eat carbohydrate, one gram of carbohydrate, let's rule of thumb, 3 gram of water has to follow intracellular. So what might be about intracellular is water in the cells, not water that's just hanging on when you think, oh, you're a bit watery today. That's extracellular water. Mm-hmm. So if you eat a big meal without rehydrating fully, let's say you eat 100 gram of carbohydrate, very easy to do. You could eat 500, it's very easy to do when you're hungry. If you eat 100 gram, equivalent to probably a can of Coke, has to follow. So it has to come out of the cells and into the muscle, because you've started the process of eating carbohydrate. That's just biology, that's what happens. Mm-hmm. But if you're fully dehydrating, you start that process too soon. When you're fully dehydrated, the only place left what's got this intracellular fluid is around your brain. So the water from the intracellular fluid from your brain comes out into your muscles. You don't realize it. You start eating, you're like, oh, this is great. Carry on eating. You can't really reverse that. You can start drinking it, but you can't put that back. It takes time.
Yeah.
And you haven't got the time to fully do it from the weigh-in to the fight fully. Mm. So that's when you see people getting ring, and I've seen it. I saw it in Monaco. You see people getting a ring, and you're thinking, oh, they look great, they look wicked. Poof. What's happened here?
Yeah.
Flash not done. Concuss, what's happened? They got it wrong. And there's no water around your brain. It's damaging. So that's how brain damage can happen. But on the contrary to that, when you rehydrate and you've got, let's say, you filled somebody up with salts when they're rehydrated, you can run the risk of something called osmotic demyelination syndrome. So what that is you've put it's a rapid influx of correcting an imbalance of sodium and electrolytes. When you get that,
it's a flood.
It's a flood. Yeah. So if you have too much, your blood sodium levels go too high. And what happens then? Water rapidly releases from the brain and damages the myelin sheath, which is it's like a fatty acid that protects your cells and your nerves. And when that happens, that can be permanent damage. So if you do that, you won't realize it, but you get a bit of confusion, a bit of like, what's happened here, a bit of faintness, and you get in a ring. And if that's damaged, boom.
Yeah.
But you can't test for it. You can't see it. It's like, oh, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, but you do know what happened.
It's so dangerous. So everything has to, when I say to you, what have you done in the last 10 days? How much sodium have you been on? How much water are you putting in? It all has to be, it can't just be winged. It cannot be.
Do you think what you saw,
I'm not saying that's the fact, but I'm just telling you the facts of biology.
From what you saw, when Chris was in hospital after having an operation, he said there was an issue 3-4 fights ago. So obviously I thought that rinsing yourself down obviously didn't help your current situation, whatever it was. He tries to he's keeping it a secret, whatever it is. Did you not think he's damaged himself irreversibly in regards to the two things we saw in both fights, how he got down to the weight, how he was in the last fight, how he was completely dehydrated, completely gone. The first fight, his big toenail fell off. He was in hospital for 3 days. So it was detrimental the first time he did it, but to do it again on top of an underlying issue, do you not think that would affect him long term? He's talking about coming back to box in a year or so when he's fully right. Do you think that could happen?
Maybe in a year. I mean, for me, I would have left it longer. So listen, he's probably got a great team around him. He's not daft Chris Eubank. And I'm not saying the things that I'm just telling you the dangers, what can happen. I'm not saying that happened to him. It probably didn't. Yeah. But when he probably did it as good as you do. But I think he probably not rushed that fight. The toll it had on his body takes time. Yeah. The body takes time. When you get into a new weight, when you want to grow into a new weight, if people want to do a lean bulk, your body doesn't like change. It likes to create homeostasis, don't like change. So when you change it that drastically, you have to heal. Mm. And if he's not fully healed, he's going through it again, it'll stop. It'll say, I'm not doing this anymore because this is damaging, because it remembers. You do something called like metabolic DNA damage, your body remembers. It's very clever. So it might have at one point thought, I'm shutting off here. Because he had nothing, did he? Mm. And I felt sorry for him.
And desperate times like this create desperate measures by certain fighters where they cheat, they take drugs. And I always say, when you take drugs in any sport, not just boxing, it doesn't make you a smarter boxer, at least. Yeah. You know, you might be able to ride a bike faster and longer and the duration, but boxing is completely different. All it can do is help you be fitter. Don't make you smarter. Yeah. Don't make you more technically astute. Yeah. So drugs in our sport can only be, to me, I think you're cheating to be able to take the duration, but it doesn't make you a better boxer. It just makes you a fitter fighter. Would you say?
I think when people do it that wrong, they think, it must be, I must have to turn to drugs then. Mm. Like, if you did it right,
you wouldn't need to.
Amazing things can happen.
I beat 3 drug cheats in my when I boxed, and when I did that, I'm like, and each time, I think the second time, third time, when I was in a drug cheat with a drug, I knew after the second round, I thought it was Gumalo Jones, and he'd already failed a drug test before, once or twice before. Somehow he was there boxing for the World Cruiserweight title, and I remember after the second round, I hit him. And he was like, Robocop, just came straight back. I'm like, what? Something right here. Yeah. But I wanted to go back. I'm saying, Bren, that's not right. He goes, shut up, get on with it. Because you can't be arguing mid-fight, can you? Yeah. And I just knew, I drew, but I just knew, I thought, I know I trained to failure. I knew this guy had come up in the weights and he was so strong, and I thought, that's just not right. Yeah. And I wanted to say it in an interview, but you can't, because if you're wrong, you get sued. Yeah. Consequently, he failed a drug test, he got a silly 3-month ban, and that was it. But you just know it doesn't make you a better fighter. It may make you, give you more duration through a fight, but it doesn't make you a better fighter.
No, not at all. Mm-hmm. And I just think that, looking at that, like I said to you, people always look, even when people are in shape, it must be that. It must be that. It's like,